I want to talk about perceptions today and how relatively weird they are and how well they influence really our experiences with life and with technology and with software. I'll give you a concrete example before we extrapolate onto other things, or before you feel free to extrapolate this onto your own experiences with these things. So perceptions. So a while ago I've picked up a video game on the Epic Store which happened to be free at that point. It was Borderlands 2 The Handsome Collection, and it's called that because I think the Jack Handsome is the villain in the story, and it has a really nice little art style. So it's got like black outlines around the objects. It looks very much like a comic book, like a 3D rendered comic book. Very nice. It's a very iconic style, so very cool. And the Handsome Collection, Borderlands 2 Handsome Collection, was free, and it's usually worth like, I don't know, $90 or something. So it was completely free, which is awesome. So thank you, Epic, for getting us addicted to your store. Thanks. That's very, very much appreciated. So I hadn't played it really, but I knew I had it, and I thought I heard so much about Borderlands. There happened to be a Borderlands 3 sale on, and I thought, hey, I'll go and install it and just play it, because I didn't know what it was about. I had heard a lot about it, but I had never experienced it myself. So going in without any expectations or any perceptions of what Borderlands was going to be, I had a great time. I was playing on my own for a few hours, and I thought, hey, this is really cool. Told Julia about it, because that Handsome Collection, she doesn't have that, or didn't have it at the time, but it also happened to be on sale for like $15, and that's a bargain considering that the whole thing is usually like whatever, 90 or something. So I said to her, hey, this could be a game that we could play together, and it's it's fun to play. And I said to her, hey, why don't we get it for you, and then we can co-play, like that's something that we like doing. Like, whoops, massive palm leaf there. And she got it, and we played together on the same day, even the next day. We had a ton of fun, and it was it was really cool. Kind of glad we did that. And so we remembered it as a game that let's play that together. Didn't have the time for a week or so, and yesterday we tried it again. The day before yesterday, we tried it again, and we found that we no longer had a good time. So that was odd. That was a really odd experience, much like the woman in yellow shouting in my ear there, creeping up from behind me. So it was a really odd experience, because we thought, hey, last time we played this, we had a really good experience. So our perception of playing the game was a positive one. We loved it, we liked it. So all of a sudden, the next thing that happens, we try the game again, and all of a sudden we're no longer having a good time. So I guess here's my point. The software itself hadn't changed between the two times we tried. It was exactly the same piece of software, and nothing had really changed, except perhaps our expectation of having a good time. That's maybe the only thing that would have come into the mix, that we expected now for it to be a good game. And before that, we didn't really know what we should expect. So now we're coming in with the expectation, hey, this should be a good time, it should be a good laugh, because last time our experience showed us it was. But now it wasn't anymore, and I find that fascinating because it happened in such a short amount of time. Could well be that we didn't get on with the over-confusing menu, with the literally 1.5 million types of weapons that you can pick up in that game. It's in fact in the Guinness Book of World Records of being a shooter game with the most amount of guns. Can you believe it? So yeah, of course everyone gets confused, including me, because I get confused very easily. And so it was a very complicated menu with like 400 million missions that you can do. Yeah, of course we picked the wrong one and got obliterated, but there had to be a way to bring back and restore our positive experience with it, and currently there wasn't. So I'm kind of interested to see if we're going to try this again, or if we're going to just uninstall it and never talk about this again. But so what my point about this is that the software that we had experienced didn't change, but our perception of what it would be like had. So the experience that we had with it had been drastically altered in only a week's worth of time. And I'm bringing this example up because usually it takes a lot longer for that to happen. And in regards to software as well as hardware, and it has an influence of how we deal with these things over time. So if you think about a game or a software that you've used of like 10 years ago, and you have fond memories of it, and you think, hey, this was such a good time, I remember the good memories, I'm going to try the same software out today, you might find it sucks. How did I ever have a good time with this piece of crap? How did that work? But this is how this works. So the thing hasn't changed, but we have. And I think that's so fascinating to experience over time, that we do change, and we change quite fast. Either we forget how things work, we learn new things, our expectations become different ones, and I find that fascinating, and it happens without us making a conscious effort or without us actually knowing that it happens. It's just that these things like technology and software that stay the same, once experienced again a few years later, we think, hey, how did I ever live with this? This is not something I want to put up with anymore. My expectations of how this is supposed to work has drastically changed. And this is how Apple and the Google guys can sell us a new iPhone every year, because whatever works for you today and whatever is awesome today is of course total crap tomorrow. And this is how they manage to get $1,500 a year out of our pockets. And not me, because I'm still using a 7-year-old iPhone. I'm kind of proud of it, because I'm going to ride it into the sunset. My perception of it is, indeed, it has gotten slower over time, but that's not because I think it should be faster. It's because software upgrade are now doing more with the same hardware that's now 7 years old. And when I type in something that I'm searching for, it takes 3 seconds for any search results to come up. Sure, I'm annoyed about it, and it's part of what would be driving me to buy a new iPhone, because the old hardware is now perceived as shit. So the perception is deliberately manipulated in something that wants me to acknowledge the current user experience is bad and I need a new one, and therefore I need to give Apple $1,500, which, you know, is part of their marketing strategy. So I'm not falling for that, because I'm seeing right through this. But yeah, so that's the mystery about perceptions for me. And this example of Borderlands really kind of drove that home to me, how quickly that can happen sometimes. I mean, on one hand, I was this close to getting Borderlands 3 because it was on sale, and I thought, hey, these guys, they make great software and it's an awesome video game. And in the end, I didn't, and I'm really glad I didn't do that, because I'd be miffed now. I wouldn't have a good time knowing that, hey, I've just bought a game that is potentially crap, and that is really not the user experience that I want. I'm after the positive experience. I'd like to have the same experience that I'm currently having with Horizon Zero Dawn, that I've also picked up on sale. That is a beautiful story. If you haven't heard of that, it plays in America on this planet in about 1,000 years into the future. And that's a really cool premise, because it means the machines have gone over and are now ruling the planet, and humanity is no longer the dominant species on the planet. And we don't really know why machines are being replicated, or why are they attacking humans, or whatever happens, but that's the story. We're living as a tribe of people, and that's fascinating to see how 1,000-year-old wrecks or 500-year-old wrecks of skyscrapers and apartments and cars and traffic lights are kind of protruding through the landscape that is now just mountains and hills and nature overgrown things. So very cool. So very much the story. So my perception of that game right now is that it giving me a fantastic time. I'd like to revisit that in a couple of years and see if that's still the case. I'm sure it will be, but there will probably be the point in 5 years or so where I'm thinking, hey, this isn't great anymore. And this is of course how it works with both software and with hardware. So I suppose my point is, let's be more aware of when that happens. And when people try to manipulate us into realizing the current experience isn't good, give us money, that'll be the solution, just be aware of it. You can use a 10-year-old computer and have a good time with it, if you don't buy into the marketing hype that, hey, you should really upgrade to Windows 11 because that's better. And you think, well, why is that better again? It's not exactly better for me. It's better for Microsoft, I guess, and for software developers who, I don't know, tap into more tracking data or whatnot. It's not so much better for me right now at this moment in time. It will be good for me when old software stops working on the current operating system. That's a bit of a problem. And again, Apple have that down to a T. I remember vividly when I was working back in the UK, and there was a satellite company that my colleague and I were exchanging data with with live events, and I typed this up on my iPad, and I thought, hey, this is great. We both have Pages on the iPad, so we can just exchange the report, and if there needs anything that needs to be amending, I can just send it to you. We didn't have iCloud back in those days, or cloud syncing and sharing documents. We didn't have that, but we both had Pages, and we could just go and exchange the report, and if any amendments need to be made, then he could do that. Turns out that wasn't possible because Apple, in their infinite wisdom, have made it so that I had a newer version of Pages and he had an older version, and of course you can't open my document in an older version. You have to have the latest version of Pages, and for that to be possible, you have to have the latest version of the operating system, and for that to work, you have to have the latest version of the hardware, and that will cost you $1,500. And you go, yeah, you see, this is where it all goes horribly wrong when that sort of behavior, when large companies try to just extract money from us. That's where things go wrong. We should always have the choice of what we do with the hardware that we already own. And yeah, that's, which is one of those things to be aware of when it comes to perceptions. And I thought I'd share this little story and my thoughts with you, because it's just, I don't think I've ever seen it happen quite that fast as in the Borderlands incident. So I will try Borderlands again. We'll see if it's nice, see if we can figure out how to have a good time with it. But if not, it was a free game at the end of the day. I'm not really too concerned if I just go and uninstall it and never speak of this incident again. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how fast my perceptions had been altered within 1 week, and how close I was to spending more money on the next game because, hey, the previous one is so good. So one of those things.